Next is our government segment, which I host, Nick Barber. My guest is Joe Landry. Joe Landry is the supervisor of the town of Niskayuna. Joe is going to talk about Niskayuna town government and a specific issue about the soccer teams and sports recreational field out there in Niskayuna. So let's watch this interview with Joe Landry, supervisor of the town of Niskayuna. Hi everyone, welcome to Impact. I'm Nick Barber, your host for the government segment. And today our special guest is Joe Landry. Joe Landry is the supervisor of the town of Niskayuna. He'll be talking about town government and current events in the town of Niskayuna. Welcome, Joe.
Good morning, Nick.
How are you? We're no strangers, are we? We've crossed paths before.
I've worked around you for at least 10 or 15 years.
In government, right. Yes. That poses the first question. How did you get involved in public service? How about that for starters? What got you initially involved in public service?
Probably the first thing that started is I was in law school down in New York City at St. John's, going to school in the evening and working in the Queens District Attorney's office during the day.
Oh.
And one of my bureau chiefs was heavily involved in his prior life in Albany in government. So he was a good person to talk to and got me interested. I eventually transferred up to Albany Law School, finished up at Albany Law School, and started working right in government right out of law school. You know, as a counsel in the Office of Court Administration. Then I ended up taking a job in the Assembly. I worked in the, as counsel to the Transportation Committee in the Assembly. Then I ended up working in the Majority Leader's office in the Assembly. And then from there I went into the private sector, worked as an attorney, lobbyist for many years. And then one of my good friends, Susan Savage, convinced me to get back into government, and I became counsel to the county legislature. And then when the former supervisor in Niskayuna opted not to run, they asked me to run for that, and that's how I got to be in the position I'm in.
And you won.
And I
first
won.
time out. Was that your first attempt?
No, that was my my second attempt. The first attempt I ran for county legislature and lost.
Yeah.
And then I ran a few years later for the supervisor's position and won that.
Well, it happens. It takes it takes that perseverance. If you do not at first succeed, then try again. And that's so true in government, because election can be very, very unpredictable. So a lot of people get discouraged and they give up, say, I'll never do that again. It was a terrible experience. But if you have the positive thing, well, it was a great experience. Let's try it again under different circumstances.
Yes.
There you go. So here you are.
Yes.
So you had a great natural progression in government. You had a lot of valuable background. So how long have you been the supervisor in Niskayuna?
I'm entering my third term. I've been there 4 years. I have another term, another 2-year term, so I'll be there 6 years.
Yeah.
And the terms are for 2 years, and I have to run every couple of years.
Time flies.
Yes, it does fly. It feels like you're campaigning all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Niskayuna is a wonderful community. I know people want to live there. They want to move in there. It's always been popular. It's got a lot of assets. What are some of the greatest assets for the town of Niskayuna?
I think the greatest asset in the town of Niskayuna are its people. The people that live in Niskayuna are very committed to the community. They're very committed to making it a better community, getting involved. We really don't have a problem getting a lot of input from our community, whether it be from the residents or the boards. We have a lot of people on our boards. We're always having people volunteering. So that, I think, is the best part of the community, is the people you meet and the people that are involved. We have some good large employers in town that end up keeping a lot of people right in town. We have the GE Research Center, we have the Knowles Atomic Power Laboratory. They employ many thousands of people, and a lot of our residents work there because it's so close to their homes. They can live right in town and be less than a half a mile, or very, very close to where they work.
Right.
So we have a lot of very committed people to our community that want to see our community progressing.
Right.
So,
and you also have a great school district, too, in Niskayuna School District. And you have fire departments. Are they paid or volunteer?
Well, we have a mixture. One of our fire departments has paid and volunteers, and then the other 2 are volunteers. So we have 3 fire departments covering the town, and we do have a very good school system. It's very fortunate. I have 3 children, and 2 of my children have gone through the school system. I still have one who's a sophomore in high school, and I can personally vouch that it is an opportunity to get a great education.
That's great.
And it's a good asset.
Great. Niskayuna was never known as a commercial municipality, but recently you've had some expansion, and I know it's intended to be controlled growth because it is a beautiful, suburban community. Do you see any commercial growth, or you think we're going to hang where we are for a while as far as the commercial enterprises or projects in Niskayuna?
There are still designated areas that can, have some growth.
Yeah.
And just recently, we are expanding the Metroplex service area. We have a resolution coming up later this month that will expand that area to include the remaining areas in town where there can be growth. And those are already zoned for growth.
Yes.
You have the Balltown Road area down at the one end of it by Route 5 where
Right.
you're seeing some activity.
Yes.
The other end of it down by River Road, there's some opportunities there. There's a vacant church there. We're looking to see what we can do there as far as getting somebody interested in that, as whether it's an office building or a professional office building there. We've had some great success over at our town overlay district right in the center of town with the new ShopRite Square. We have ShopRite in there.
Yes.
And we're not even finished there because we still have a vacant Friendlies that we're trying to work with the owners of the plaza right now to see what we can do with that Friendlies.
Right.
So, and then we have the industrial complex over off of Hillside.
Right. That's right. That's
you're
in
going to see
Niskayuna.
some
Sure.
activity over there with the Armory. They're
Yep.
going to be putting in a new armory over there. So, so there are some opportunities happening in town in the designated areas for the industrial and the commercial growth. And we're working very hard to maximize that usage and to get good tenants in there so that we have the amenities close to home. People like working in Niskayuna. A lot of people don't work in Niskayuna, but a lot of people do. And if we can expand the job base in town, we're trying to do that.
Well, that's great. So Niskayuna's got a good mix of residential and commercial, a nice balance. We don't have much time. This is not a long interview, so I wanted to talk to you about the proposed project of a sports complex, or whatever you'd call it, over at Blatnick Park. What's that all about, Joe?
Oh, we're calling it the Indoor Recreational Facility. What we are doing, we're in a process right now where we're looking at doing some proposed bonding for the town, this project and other projects. And this is one of the projects that's come up and has been in the news lately. What we're looking to do is put together an indoor facility to allow the residents of the town to, right now stay within town and use it for the various activities that happen with their children, whether it be soccer, lacrosse, baseball, field hockey, softball, and open it up to the town residents. So we're looking to go out and bond for that proposal, and we're working with a couple of clubs that have also come to us that will be offering to provide some funding for that. What we think, and we've done all the worked through all the numbers and the operating costs, is when this proposal is put forward for a bonding vote, and when we actually do it, we don't believe there's going to be any cost to the residents as far as increased taxes or tax increases. And the reason for that is, if you look at the structure and how it's set up, we went out to bid. The bids came in around $650,000. The two clubs, the Niskayuna Soccer Club and the Niskayuna Lacrosse Club, are going to provide us with about $200,000 up front to lower that cost. Then they're going to also take the extra $50,000 they have and provide for some of the other things that have to be put into the building, whether it's the electrical, mechanical systems. So then we would also look at using some of the parkland funds that the town has, about $100,000 of parkland funds, and those are funds that were paid by developers in lieu of providing us with parks. So those are not coming from the taxpayers. So when it comes down to it, the town would be bonding about $350,000 over about a 20-year period. The debt service for something like that is about $23,000, $24,000. And just looking at very conservative estimates of the revenues that would come in from the indoor facility would be in the annual cost of about $57,000 to $60,000. The operating costs, which we have worked with the contractor and our own in-house engineers and staff, they're saying the operating annual cost would be around $30,000, $31,000 to leave about $26,000 in excess that we could then put toward debt service. So we feel that this is going to be a great facility for the town, a great facility for our residents at no cost to the taxpayers, and that's what we're hoping to do with this new building.
Well, that's great. Anytime that can be done, it's a win-win. And athletics, sports are important to a community. It keeps kids out of trouble, keeps them healthy, keeps them focused, and I think that's a great project. Is this coming to a vote, or what? Where does it stand now? Is it still under study, or at what point is it?
We are at the point now where we're at the last step, which would be a vote by the town board. We're looking at an anticipated vote as early as April 19th, or it could be May 1st, depending on how the process goes. But we have had, you know, this has been a long process. You know, what I mean by that is we started talking about this facility about 4 years ago. The two clubs came to the town and said, we're having difficulties. We cannot rent space. There's not enough space in the area to allow our clubs to get practice space and game space in the wintertime. Would the town consider working with us to see if we can do an indoor facility? That process started 4 years ago. And over time, over those 4 years, we've talked about many other projects, many other ideas, you know, had many meetings. We've actually had a couple of resolutions the town board has voted on, one supporting the project generally, and another one authorizing our highway superintendent to go out to bids to get some bids back so that we could see how much it would cost. So the town board and the committees, and I'll have to compliment Councilwoman McDonald, she's done a great job of sort of getting everybody together, focusing the issue, looking at all the alternatives, and coming up with a plan. And this plan has taken a long time. It's taken 3 to 4 years finally to come to fruition. You know, Councilwoman McDonald's had many meetings, many committee meetings to talk about this, many meetings with the soccer lacrosse people. We've had public here, you know, well, not public, we've had public sessions where at the privilege of the floor, we'd heard from a lot of people the pros and cons of this project. Yeah. So we feel put it before the town residents in a lot of different forms, and now we're at the point where we're going to be considering a bond vote soon, within the next 2 to 4 weeks.
Well, it sounds like a great project, well planned out, well thought out, not done hastily, and at a minimal cost to the taxpayer, so it's a big benefit. The space that is going to be used, what is it now? What's it used for?
Right now it's used as an open air, we call it the box. It's an open air facility that if you went over to Blatnick Park, you would see it would look like an indoor ice or an outdoor ice skating rink without the ice. It has blacktop on it, pavement on it, and then it has all the boards that a ice rink would have all the way around it. So it is now used mostly by lacrosse, and what we plan on doing is keeping that set up. You know, when you put an indoor facility up, we also have some turf that would go down. So then it would be a fully turf field with the boards inside a building.
There's plenty of parking there?
There's plenty of parking, yes. And the parking is there, and then there's other areas for additional parking. It's currently right in the middle of a park, so there's parking for all the baseball fields and other you know, tennis courts and you know, the volleyball areas that people can park.
And what would it be called? The Niskayuna, Town of Niskayuna Recreational Facility? You have a name for it yet?
No, we haven't really come up with an official name, but it could probably be exactly like you said, Town of Niskayuna Recreational Facility. And it would be used, you know, for a lot of town programming. Yeah. I mean, you know, other than recreational, we have summer camps at Blatnick Park. So if it happens to be inclement weather in the summertime, instead of being outside under pavilions, the children could go inside. We also have other plans to use it, you know, for not just children. There are a lot of people that are probably much younger than I am, maybe around your age, Nick, that would want to get into adult leagues, whether it's soccer or lacrosse. So, you know, we're looking at things like that.
Old man softball league.
Yes, maybe I could. Well, something I could do. I can't hit it that far anymore, so that wouldn't be an impediment to me playing inside.
Yeah, I love getting out there at this age. You try these things, you know, and the mind commits, but the body doesn't follow. You know? I mean, so you think like when you were 30 years old, it doesn't work anymore, but it's fun trying.
And we're looking at a lot of opportunities like that, because it's going to, once we have the building and it's there, it's going to be there year round, and the children will probably want to use it when everybody else wants to use it in the wintertime when it's cold. But we'll have the facility year round, so you know, it's not to say we can't use it in the evening in the summertime, the evening in the fall or the springtime, or during the day in the summertime. So it's going to be a great asset to the town.
It is. It will be a great asset. And I wish you well with it. We've been talking with Joe Landry, the supervisor for the town of Niskayuna, New York. He's been talking about town government and the proposed Niskayuna recreational facility, if we would, which is coming up for a vote soon. And I'm glad you came to explain the details of the deal, because it's the unknown that, that creates concern for the public and the voters. So it was great that you came today, Joe, to explain how this was developed over a period of time. Very well planned, and we wish you well with that project and all your other duties as supervisor of the town of Niskayuna. And we hope you'll come back again, you know, when you want to visit with us and tell us about issues in the town of Niskayuna. You're welcome anytime, and we thank you for being here. Joe Landry, the town supervisor for Niskayuna, New York. Thank you, Joe. Come back again.
Me, Nick, and I'll be back.
You've been watching Impact. Our guest was Joe Landry today, the supervisor for the town of Niskayuna. We hope to see you next week. Thanks for watching. I'm Nick Barber, your host.